Welcome to another episode of VGN Weekly. Members of the Virtual Grip crew will recap the previous week's races and bring us one-on-one interviews with racers, league owners, and commentators, as well as others from within the sim racing community. Please like and subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of our broadcasts. If you are a league owner or potential sponsor and have a broadcasting need, please visit virtualgrip.net for info on how to get in touch with us. Thanks for tuning in today. Now let's go find some grip.
Red Light Racing Skidder Creek SK Modified Series went to Virginia's Langley Speedway for 100 laps of action on Thursday, January 16th. And Jeff Aho captured the pole for the second week in a row and would stay out front for the first 68 laps of the race. When contact in turn 2 from the number 71 of Fred Leclerc turned the number 21 machine around backwards in front of the field, where Aho would sustain heavy damage. Brian Neff had stayed in the conversation throughout the first half of the race and would restart from the lead after Aho's misfortune. Neff would control the field for the back half of the race until the first green-white checkered attempt of the night, in which the number 38 of Brandon Feeney would be scored as the race leader when a restart incident brought out the yellow flag and would set the field up for another green-white checkered attempt. Feeney would hold off the snarling pack behind him and take the checkered flag at Langley Speedway in a chaotic and exciting race. Bootleg Racing League's Outlaw SK Modified Series rolled into Five Flags Speedway for their third round of Season 38 on Saturday, January 18th. Lowell Jewell began the night from the pole position, but his race came to an abrupt end just 2 laps in. A collision with Scott Negus sent Jewell out of contention, setting the tone for a caution-filled night. The incident ushered in a series of short green flag runs that tested the patience and skill of the entire field. Chris Davis emerged as the new leader following Jewell's exit, and from that point forward, Davis found himself in a relentless battle with Donnie Moore, who was aggressively hunting for the top spot. The two drivers traded blows lap after lap, but Davis proved unshakable, holding his ground despite Moore's best efforts. With his victory, Chris Davis would become the third winner in 3 races of BRL modified competition this season. Bootleg Racing League's Late Model Invitational Series delivered another thrilling race during the third round of Season 29 at Five Flags Speedway. Trey Bloom started the race on the pole, flanked by Todd Liston. Bloom led the opening laps, but surrendered the lead to James Lowe on lap 6. Lowe quickly asserted his dominance, setting a blistering pace and building over a 2.5-second lead as the first half of the race went caution-free. However, on lap 56, the green flag run came to an abrupt end. A tap from Jeffrey Harden sent Darrell Weiniger spinning out of turn 2, bringing out the first caution of the night and erasing Lowe's commanding advantage. On the restart, Chris Davis surged into second, setting his sights on Lowe. Once again, Lowe pulled away from the field, but tire wear began to play a crucial role as the race entered its final stages. Ruben Altiz, known for his methodical approach, steadily worked his way forward, taking second place as others struggled to maintain grip. With just 7 laps remaining, a late caution bunched up the field and gave Altiz his shot at the lead. On the restart, Lowe's earlier pace began to falter under the strain of worn tires. Altiz capitalized, diving to the inside to take the lead with 4 laps to go. Before John Wilson could claim second, Aiden Young made an aggressive move to secure the runner-up spot, relegating Wilson to third as Lowe slipped further down the order. Altiz crossed the line first, claiming his second consecutive victory of the season. The win propelled him into a 3-way tie for the points lead alongside Mike Holloway and Naden Young.
Welcome back to VGN Weekly. I am John Hine, and I am here this week with Rob Higgins from Red Light Racing. Rob's first start in Red Light Racing was back in 2020. He's got 147 starts. His average finish is a top 10. He doesn't have a win yet, but he's been knocking on the door with 30 top fives. He's got 184 top 10s. Rob, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Way to bring up
Fantastic.
that I don't have a win yet.
I know, but 30 top 10s though. I mean, that puts you right on the door.
Oh, yeah.
So that tells me, keep doing what you're doing, and that win is going to come. Probably just right around the corner. And recently over in BRL, we have a gentleman that just won, I think, a late model race for the first time, Ruben Altice, and all of a sudden now he seems to be knocking down win after win. So my guess is that might be what will happen with you. You get that win, and the first one's always the hardest, so they say. And then
Yep.
hopefully when we have you back on in a few months, I'll say, hey, here he is with 15, 20 wins. So,
Well, I
well,
hope so.
yep. Well, I'll tell you, Rob. iRacing is why we're here, and so tell me a little bit about kind of your journey to iRacing, your background, your experience in the sim.
So always a racing fan. Always wanted to have a race car. Just never had the finances to have one because they're pretty expensive. And so right before COVID hit and we are all in lockdown, I just saw an ad for iRacing and I go, huh. I was like, I always, played like NASCAR 2003 on N64. I remember my dad had he wrote down every like wedge, tire pressure. He had a whole notebook. I still have that notebook for NASCAR 2003 or NASCAR 98. Sorry, even older. And I was like, oh, I can try it. I'm going to try that because it seems to be backed by NASCAR. I'm like, must be pretty good. And my buddy bought the sim rig or the wheel, and I was like, oh, it's got the same thing. Tried it out, and I was like, this is pretty good. And then the COVID boom hit, and everybody got on iRacing. I have so many friends that bought a steering wheel and everything. They're like, iRacing's sick. And it was 4 months, and they were like, oh, I don't do it anymore. And I stuck with it. I always wanted a car, couldn't afford one. I can afford one on iRacing for $11.95, and yeah, it's just a good hobby for me. That's what I call it. Just run red light racing pretty much Mondays and Thursdays.
Very cool. Once you got into it, yeah, it's easy to get hooked pretty quick. But have you once you started in on it, was is there a particular car that you were drawn into like off the bat?
The modifieds.
What's the
That was,
modifieds?
yep, SK and the Tour mod. That's what I wanted to run. I always wanted to have one. Um, I'm pushing for them to get a super modified. I keep every time there's like a super modified post, I tag iRacing in it, and I'm like, come on, scan it. Like you
Those
already got a
cars,
Swigo. Let's.
they brought those cars in years ago to the Kalamazoo Speedway, and I actually got to go up and watch them there. And holy
Yeah.
cow, those things are um, a different kind of fast on a whole different kind of
Oh
level.
yeah. Yeah.
Saw Johnny Benson up there with there's a guy that I think it might have been Davey Hamilton that just had run the Indy 500 previously. And
Mhm.
I mean, for those of you that don't know, those cars are not quite Indy cars, but just think of Indy car with a sprint car wing on it on a short track. I mean, that's really about as close of
Yeah.
a comparison that I can get to. Um, Probably the
Is that
quickest. Hmm?
that used to be like a precursor to IndyCar because you'd
Yes.
run a super modified like Bentley Warren and all them. They were
Yes.
always running super modifieds and they into the USAC stuff.
Yeah, I think I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm guessing that those are probably the fastest short track cars that are out there. Whether it be dirt, asphalt. I mean, those are I think probably the fastest. And that
Yeah.
would be kind of cool. Could you imagine those things now that we have Oswego and man, that'd be a
Well,
lot of fun for
it has
those.
to be coming. If you have us, you have to have a super modified. So they're in the works.
Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so, um, the modified, and because you're up from the Northeast and all that, so
Yeah.
that modifieds are king up there. You have a track, that you also were drawn to. Then, whenever you see it on your red light schedule, you circle it immediately.
Thompson, New Smyrna, and Stafford. Those are probably in Martinsville. Probably like statistically my best tracks.
Those are 3 or 4 very different tracks. New
Yeah,
Smyrna,
yeah,
high speed banking, Martinsville, obviously the paperclip. Thompson's just Thompson. I don't even know how to describe
yeah.
Thompson. I told you earlier that's a track I love to hate because for
Hmm.
me it's a fun track to drive, but when I get in race mode there, I'm lucky to get around the track. I feel like I'm lucky to get
Yeah.
around the track anyway.
Yeah, if you want to
Um,
pass, good luck.
yeah, yeah. When you do race, those tracks compared to like the other ones on the schedule, from a driver's standpoint, mentally, I've always said that when you're at a track you like, that's usually good for half a tenth. When in a track you
Hmm.
really dislike, it's gonna cost you half a tenth. If you got a bad
Yo,
attitude about a track, it's gonna cost you.
yep, like
What is your
last week.
mindset? Yep. What is your mindset when you do unload there and start to get after it?
Yeah, I just you got that swagger, kind of. Drivers have it walking, have the same thing sitting in my rig. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be top five. I feel like I have a top five coming, no, top 10. If not a win, one day we'll get one. Um, but just makes me feel good when I see it on the schedule. Like I already have them circled. Thompson, New Hampshire, Stafford. I'm like, these are my chances to get a win. Langley that we ran last week, I was like, I'm not gonna do good there.
I think that's Langley. I think that's pretty much everybody's attitude about Langley.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but when you show up with those tracks, I mean, do you drive different? Are you? I hate to use the word more aggressive, but are you, more on the chip? I guess on at those tracks. Do you feel like?
Yeah, I'm more confident, so I just feel like I can send it in a little deeper into that corner than I would at Langley, where I'm not comfortable. Or no, I'm pretty good at Oswego. It's pretty much like Lang and the bull ring. I do not like that track at all. I can't figure that one out either. Um, and it shows in my speed, in my times, in my qualifying finishes, statistically my two worst tracks, I believe.
Yeah, that bull ring is a difficult time. I think a lot of guys can. I think they utilize their left sides on the apron there to help turn the car, and whenever I try to do that, I end up spinning out. So, um,
Yeah, I think I'd rather pull a bull by its nose ring than drive that track.
yeah.
That might be a little more
Um,
fun.
when you're a little bit more on the chip on those, you feel a lot more confident. Does your race strategy change on the tracks, that you really like compared to the ones that you're okay, hey, we're gonna get here. Hopefully we can get a top 10 and get out of here without killing, the car or somebody else's car.
Yep, I mean, so Thursday night, my strategy kind of stays the same for every track because I mean, we can make it on fuel. And if we get halfway or over, first crosswind, I'm probably going to pit for tires, unless we had a lot of questions. Um, but I just try to get to the front as fast as I can because once, I did a while there where I was like, I'm not going to qualify. I'm just going to start in the back. And I'm just get caught in everybody else's mess. I said, I'm going to focus on trying to qualify good so that I can be in front of all the mess and hopefully not cause it behind me, but just try to get out in front of everybody.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I'm sure you've experienced this, but even though it's harder to pass once you get up to about the top 5, you race a lot harder back in the pack.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
yep.
it's it guys do things, maybe out of desperation or They're trying to overdrive because maybe they're not, the car's just not working to their liking or something. So they're not hitting it all perfect. So it's funny how that works. So you said you didn't qualify for a while, and then you started kind of focusing on the qualifying. Obviously, you said the wrecks and avoiding other people's problems and stuff like that. What is the biggest difference for you doing that? I mean, is it really? Have you seen a decrease in the wrecks or wreck avoidance starting in the back or towards the front?
Yeah, definitely towards front. I'm not involved in as many. I was just having a conversation with my father, who races with us on Thursdays, and I said, "You got to qualify, Dad," because he's like, he always starts in the back because he doesn't want to be or cause a caution and be in anybody else's mess. And I'm like, you get
Yeah.
collected in it every time because you're in the back, you can't see, you have 20 cars in front of you, you don't know what's happening. So I'm like, start qualifying, and he actually last week he qualified me. So and he finished in front of me.
Well, did you follow that up with hey, stop qualifying now?
Yeah. No, I want to see him
It's
do
not
good.
working. It's not working out for you, man. I'm sorry, that was bad advice. Get your butt in the back.
Yeah.
You said your dad races with you.
Yep.
How cool is that?
It is cool.
So how much trash talk and like post race or pre races or any of that?
A little bit. I gotta say though, like he'll let everybody by, and he could be like 6 laps down, or I could be laps down, and he's not gonna let me by. He's gonna fight me tooth and nail for me to get by, and I'm like, just let me go.
I have
He
teammates
fights
where it's
me and
like that.
Josh. He will battle Josh pretty good.
That is awesome. I like get-togethers. I mean, does it come up like? I mean, I'm sure if you race each other for any period of time, accidents happen. You get into each
Yeah.
other. So if you guys like somehow somebody wrecks somebody, what is that conversation like?
Usually I'll go to his parts store and he'll have, like if he took me out or I took him out, he'll have the video playing when I walk in, so I can, or he'll take or print it out and put it in a frame, like if he wrecked me.
That is awesome.
Yeah, we joke about it. That's what I like about the iRacing thing
Mhm.
is I don't have a car sitting in my garage that's waiting for me to go fix it. I'm busy enough, you know,
Yeah.
and it's next week. It's a whole new week. I didn't have to be in the garage till 2 o'clock in the morning, go to work for 6. I didn't have to fix them. That's what I really like about it.
Yeah, the late great Scott Bloomquist, I think, had the best quote of all time about short track racing, or is he who sleeps the least probably wins the most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's so much truth into that. And even at the local level, you get into something there at the track. I mean, there's guys that will miss a week because it takes them 2 weeks of those late nights just to get their cars straightened out. And that is definitely a benefit of iRacing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I also think it's kind of a little bit of a downside because I'm telling you, I think if guys had to go home and work on their stuff, you would see knuckleheads last a little less in
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
places.
Yeah.
So I guess there's pros and cons to that, but yeah, the not having to work on it. And by the way, it doesn't hurt as much when you hit something.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
that's the other thing I kind of enjoy. So, outside of the modifieds in red light, do you do anything else or just dabble in anything else in iRacing? Do you have like something you just kind of like sneak away and drive or anything?
Hold on, my
Uh-oh.
dogs are barking.
Someone's there.
Yeah.
Wait, real quick. What kind of dog do you got? I love dogs. What kind of dogs do you got?
So I have a German Shepherd. I have
Oh,
a mini
nice.
Australian Shepherd. Got 3
Oh,
cats. 21 chickens. No, when we had a hawk attack today, so
oh
they
no.
got one of our chickens. Yeah.
I had an Australian Shepherd. One of my favorite dogs I've ever had. I mean, granted, it looked like a barrel with legs, but oh
Yeah.
my gosh, what a good dog! That was yeah. If I somewhere I'm gonna get another one, and that's probably what I'll get. So, But we'll come back to the dogs and all that. As soon as I hear dogs, I want to know. I just want to play with them. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's a mental thing that I can't see a dog.
Yeah.
Some people like do that with babies and stuff like that. No, not me. If it's a dog,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop and want to pet it. I don't.
My wife ordered pizza, so that's a delivery person.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I like animals, so I'm pretty sure that I try to pet a crocodile if it wouldn't bite me. You know.
Yeah.
So, but the different cars I was asking, is there something out there too that outside the modified realm, rather be a late model or a NASCAR vehicle, one of the truck, Xfinity, something like that. Is there something else you kind of like out there?
So, I like the truck and the late model stock. Those seem to be like two like go-tos other than like the modifieds.
Any kind of road or anything else, just to dabble, just to have fun. That
No,
'cause
no.
I've got. I think I said it last week or the week before. Like the rallycross. I'm not fast. I'm a weapon on the track, but sometimes I like popping in one just to drive it around, just to have fun because it's a fun car to drive. Um, but
Mhm.
the trucks, a lot of people on here like the trucks. For you, what about the trucks? Kind of, do you like when you pop in one of those? What do you like about those?
Yeah, it's just I feel like it's more stable than everything else, and that's what I always say. I'm just going for a Sunday drive, when I'm racing. Especially when I do the official stuff because I don't want all my ratings to go down. They seem to do every time. They never go up. Um, I just, I always liked the trucks ever since like 1996. I was 6 years old and I was like, oh, cool, look at the truck series. A little kid just loved trucks and I was like, oh, these are great. And I just like them and you can run them at short tracks. That's pretty much all I hate running the big tracks and except for like Talladega, Daytona. I like that.
Yeah, those trucks back '96 and how they look now, completely different look. But yeah, I remember when that truck series
Yeah.
started, and you had Jack Sprague and Skinner and
Yeah,
Hornaday,
it
and
was like the retirement league and it was awesome.
yeah. Now it's flipped because you got all these kids in there. But
Yeah.
I still think the NASCAR trucks are the best racing.
Yeah.
Along the Xfinity, the last couple of years has gotten really, really good, just because of
Hmm.
their package they have with those cars.
Yeah.
Um, the Cup has a lot of things I like to see done different. I think everybody else does. A lot of other people do too. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, those trucks are, because I guess maybe it's the inexperience now. You see guys, you never know what you're going to see just because guys are learning.
Yeah.
Um, how many times you pull that on and there's some 18-year-old kid getting in there for the first time, and then I don't know about you, but I think back when I was 18, the idea of driving at Talladega is just nuts.
Yeah.
Uh, Um,
Like
but
I was just taking my truck through every mud hole I could find when I was 17, 18 years old.
yeah, I was driving late models at that age,
Hmm.
and even at that point, it it just still was not something
Yeah.
that you saw. It was, in fact, when I was driving late models, that's way before the kids. I started at 15, and I was by far uh, an anomaly. You didn't see.
Hmm.
Now you go to the pit area and you've got all these kids in there. Um,
Yeah. You 14.
so
They don't have a driver's license,
yeah,
but they can drive a late model around the racetrack, you know.
yeah.
But speaking of the trucks, I am excited because this year they're coming to New Hampshire. It's awesome.
Well, I was going to
We got
ask you.
two of the best trucks
We
modified.
as I say, we can shift over to the. I was going to say that too. Shifting over to the real world racing that you kind of been exposed to and been around, and being up there in the Northeast. What are some of the tracks that you've gone to and or like to attend?
So around here, so Massachusetts has one racetrack left. That's in Seekonk. Um, I kind of started a Facebook page, Massachusetts Lost Racetracks, because there was even a racetrack at the Country Club in Brookline. They did 5 races, I think, back in the 20s. Just
Wow.
to so I'm just kind of like a New England or Massachusetts, New Hampshire, like history buff kind of.
Hmm.
Just try to find those tracks like Hudson Way. It's 45 minutes from me. It opened in 1947, and you just look at everything that's been built around it, and you want to, like, it's a historic landmark for the state of New Hampshire, and you can't let it disappear, you know. And that's had some of the biggest guys ever run there, Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt, you know, because they all were friends with Ron Bouchard, who was from a town over where I live, and he would bring everybody up here.
Now, Ron, there's a driver in NASCAR lore. He got himself a win at one of those plate tracks we were talking
Yep.
about. But, you, well, you were probably a big fan of that Dale Jr., that Lost Speedway show. Then I have to
Yeah.
assume.
Yep.
I mean, that's
what got me. I was like, there's so many here that are still, like, you could still see them. You know, if you Google map them, you can still see the outline. It's cool.
Absolutely. I think my favorite episode is that one where the guy had a moonshine underneath the track.
Yeah.
I forget which track that was, but it's just like, wow. So what tracks do you go out on a Friday night, Saturday night? I mean, is there a track that you attend regularly to go catch a race?
I don't go every week because now with things like Racing America and Flow, it's like you just sit at home and watch them. So I like that. But we used to go to Lee pretty regularly, up in Lee, New Hampshire. My dad used to sponsor a car up there, so we go
Oh, wow.
pretty much every week. Hudson Speedway, too. One of my buddies used to run there every week, so we go up there. But mostly just Thompson because it's 45 minutes away, and it's just faster.
Are
Right?
those the
Because it's a big
tracks?
track.
Are those the tracks that you, when you were a kid, is that where you kind of went? Is that where you kind of got exposed to racing for the first time?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, really, it was watching it on TV. You know, my parents didn't bring us, me and my sister. We got to stay with my grandparents when they went to Loudon every year. But I'd watch it on TV with my grandfather and my dad, and you know, as a
So,
kid, I'd fall asleep.
so who was your driver then? You know, who do you root for?
Then it was Sterling Marlin.
Oh,
I,
that's going in the way
he was,
back machine.
that's why I have the number 40 car. You know, I was like that silver bullet. I mean, that car was fast. He was fast then too.
You know, it's funny you say that, and that's a car that immediately comes to mind. Even though he won a couple of Daytona 500s in that Kodiak car,
Yeah.
but that silver bullet car is what comes to mind. But that's not just that, but where the red flag at Daytona pops out of
Yeah.
the
When
car,
he's
starts pulling the fenders, and that when you say his name, that's what goes to mind. Which is, uh, I mean, it's probably not fair because that's a big deal winning 2 Daytona 500s,
yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
probably where your mind should go to with Sterling. But that's where my mind goes whenever I think of his name and all that and
I'm
that car.
picturing that in my head right now.
Yeah. So Sterling, did he get up in that neck of the woods to race? Because I mean, you're up there in modified country where the Tommy Baldwins and the um, Jimmy Spencer's of the world.
Yeah.
All those cats came through there. Mike McLaughlin. I could go on and on and on about all the folks that came down from down there. The Bodines.
So I don't think
So,
he ever came up here because he was pretty big into farming. So
mhm,
that's why he kind of stopped racing when like the times got pushed later because he used
mhm.
to like to race and then go home to his farm. He could do work on his farm, and then he goes, "Well, 3 o'clock, I'm going to run out of time." And he was like, "I guess it's." And he was getting older, and he was like, "I guess it's time for me to hang it up."
That's kind of wild. Um, so Sterling Marlin. So, what did he run when did he ever come up there or to watch other than that to New Hampshire? I mean, because I don't know that Sterling has a modified background, but he
No,
does
I
have a
don't think
late he
he.
does have a late model background. So I don't know if he came up there run a late model or anything.
I don't remember him running any local tracks. I do remember it was at Thompson. It was Jimmy Spencer and Tony Stewart running a modified. But I don't think Sterling ever did anything at the local tracks. I could be mistaken. You I was probably 10, 11 years old if he did, and I don't remember.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, even now, there's still a kind of a little bit of a pipeline that comes out of there. You got guys like Ryan Priest up there. Um,
Hmm.
And um, I forgot who it was that signed with Joe Gibbs. Has got a handful of races this year. Modified guy. I don't think it's Pit Cat. It's oh, my
Oh,
mind goes blank.
Bonsignore.
Yeah,
Justin
yeah. I
Bonsignore.
saw
Yeah.
I saw that he signed. So he's got, I think it's like 10 races in
Yeah.
that Xfinity car.
Uh,
So that'll be
yep.
kind of
And
neat
he
to
did
see
good at
that.
New Hampshire
Yeah, well,
this past year.
he's got a lot of laps there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um, and I chalk that up to home field advantage. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so very, very cool. Are you planning to go up there? You said you're excited at the trucks. So are you going to go up there for the whole, see the trucks, the cup cars and the mods? Or are you just going to go
Uh,
up for the mods and cup or mods
I
and the
might just
trucks?
go up Saturday. I like the Saturday show. And then past couple of years, we've been camping up there. I don't think we're going to do it this year. Just go up for the Saturday show, and then I'll watch Sunday on TV.
Very, very cool. That sounds like almost like a perfect weekend, to be honest with you,
Hmm.
because those modifieds, those would have to be something else to see there. I mean, I've watched them on Flow and things like that, and on short tracks it's one thing, but to have those things, because that's a super speedway for those things.
Oh
It'd
yeah,
be, I think it'd be really something to see those cars, especially getting through the corners there. I've driven them on iRacing, and I know at least in iRacing there. I mean, it feels like you're really going through those corners, and they're on a
yeah,
knife's edge. They're on a knife's edge on iRacing because to go fast, you really got to put them right on that limit to get around that track. So I'd have to imagine that's probably pretty close to real life.
yeah, yeah. I can only imagine what it's like being in one of those in real life.
Yeah. Well, you've got the racing background, but we were just talking a second ago when I asked you about your dogs, and you've got chickens and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of, I got to assume that. Did you say you have like 18 chickens? How many chickens did you say you have?
uh, so we had a hawk attack today.
Okay.
I know I
Oh,
lost one.
oh
um,
no.
I mean, it's a risk you take. I free range them.
Hmm.
Um, so I was over at my parents' house. My parents live next door, and my wife texted me that there was a hawk attack. Come home, I found one that didn't make it. It probably I've had like 50 chickens.
Oh
My
wow.
most at one time was probably like almost 40.
If I mean, is it produce eggs for like a farmer's market, or is it just something that you have there that you enjoy tending to? Is that more of like a hobby?
Yeah, I didn't think it'd be a hobby until my wife brought home chickens one day, and I was like, I don't have a coop, I don't have anything. Like, just brought home chickens and a tote and a heat lamp, baby chicks. So I built a coop
I've
and
got
I
to ask.
rebuilt another.
I've got to ask, eh, what possessed her to do that? My wife has come home with a cat. My wife has come home with
Hmm.
birds. Like, hey, I bought, literally, hey, I bought three more birds, and I'm
Yeah,
like, what? Um, so what possessed her to grab the chicks?
I don't know. She's crazy.
Okay, you know what?
They're
That's
like,
how I chalk up with my wife. Um,
yeah, like cats. She'll just bring cats home. And she'll be like, oh, my sister gave me these cats. And it's like, oh, cool.
oh, see, mine usually it's I found these cats is
Yeah.
the story that I usually get, and I'm like, you found? We try to dive into that whole
Like,
conversation, and long
yeah,
story
they
short,
were in somebody's house.
yeah, a long story short, I think at one time we had four cats. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're yeah. So now that you have them, and then you had just the heat lamp. So do you have the coop now? Did you like build and add on to give these
Yeah. So,
guys?
I have a 8x16 run. Now I have a 10x8 shed that's their coop. They can roam everywhere. They usually go to my neighbor's yard. They had a turkey once, and she she was awesome. I want to get more turkeys. Um, but yeah, no, I just like now I'm like, well, I have them. I gotta keep them happy, you know. They're growing up. My oldest one's 5 years old. I've had him for 5 years, and she's made it from the original batch that we got.
Wow. Um, so how do you manage? Because it seems like if you've got them free range, all that, how do you control the population? I mean, are you just, you don't care whatever comes out, whatever you guys you end up with? Do you give away any or anything like that ever?
Oh, we have given some away. Um, so usually that, and I mean, we do free range them, so it does control the population to a degree,
Mhm.
right? Like I said, like I've had foxes, coyotes, bobcats, everything come through the yard. We kind of live in the woods here, the central Mass, so there's a lot of predators around. My dogs do a good job of protecting them. They don't go after the chickens. Never did really. I was surprised. They never
Yeah,
wanted
I
to
am
attack
too.
them or anything.
Dogs are
But
smart
they
though.
will
They kind of
protect
know.
them.
They're part of our flock here. They're all, you know, so they probably look at it that way. That's why
Yeah, they
dogs and
probably said,
cats, I think.
Mom brought home more animals."
Yeah, because I mean that's funny. We've had dogs and cats and stuff like that, and they've always gotten along. It's just like, hey, if they're used to them, then they're a friend and not a foe,
Yeah.
or something to eat. Um, so outside, I got a feeling that if you're raising the chickens outside and you're free ranging, you probably like outdoors. So is there and any other hobbies that you have that kind of go along with that?
So I used to fish a lot,
Hmm.
and then I kind of got away from it. But this year I already bought my fishing license for the year, and I'm April break. I'm uh, over the summer. I'm just gonna go fishing all the time, at least in the morning for a couple hours, and try to catch today's dinner. Then I'll come home empty-handed. You-
You guys don't do a lot of ice fishing up there, do you?
there is when the ice is good. I mean, luckily it's been cold,
Hmm.
so the ice is pretty good. Um, but I don't really do much ice fishing. I have a few times I don't have any of the setups. I'll go with some buddies and stuff.
Yeah, I work for a Bass Pro Shops, and I was just up in our Minnesota stores, and down here where I'm at, St. Louis, there's no ice fishing in these stores.
Hmm.
The tents and all that. You go up there, and you see. Once I go up there, and I see the whole ice fishing, with the different shanties and stuff like that they have. And that's some serious business up that way. So I didn't know if you guys got that or not, but I still can't bring
Oh
myself to
yeah.
do it. I've got folks up there like, hey, we'll take you out, and I'm like, yeah, not without chloroform. You're not getting me out on the ice. You know,
Yeah.
I just you know. People are driving buses and stuff out on that ice, and I understand they always
Yeah.
say it's 3 feet thick or 2 feet thick or whatever it is. I'm like, yeah, no. um, and then putting a heater on top of the ice to warm it. So you're gonna set up shop and help melt the ice is what you're doing.
It was like
That doesn't seem
people
like a
trying to
good idea.
fire out on the ice.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a good idea either. But I know some people just love to do it and stuff. And I mean, you bring TVs into those things, and I mean, it's basically a house out there on the ice. It's crazy what I've seen
Yeah.
up there, and it fascinates me. Um, Deep down, I think I'd like to try it sometime, but I'll just say it. There's just no way. I think it would freak me out too much driving a car out on that ice. So,
Yeah.
um, fishing. Do you do any like hunting or anything else like that? Gardening or much of anything like that else outside?
Yeah. Just the gardening. I don't do any hunting. I'd
Okay.
like to. I just never really got into it.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, we do have a pretty decently sized garden. We had a good yield this year, but also a lot of pests. Trying to get more self sufficient. They say like I don't want to head to the grocery store for everything. We can have it here. Trying
Yeah.
to not that I wait. Not this isn't a tinfoil hat, but
Well, no. I mean,
want to be able to grow my own food, and like I have eggs. I have chickens. Let's have our own vegetables.
well, it's fresh. I mean, you go back out,
Yeah.
and I know folks that tend. I mean, because it's just something relaxing to go out there and just tend to gardens or
Hmm.
I mean, people have bonsai trees. I mean, you tend to those. I mean, that's on a much smaller scale, but it's a relaxing way to kind of pass time.
Yep.
My grandfather had a small garden, where he would plant everything from pickles to corn, green beans, that kind of stuff. And you know what? I liked going out and picking that stuff. I remember that as a kid. That's one of my most fond memories as a kid, is going out there and doing that, and even planting stuff. You dig the line, you put the seed in, all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
that's a yeah, I totally get that. You don't have to have a tinfoil hat to think you're
yeah.
self-sufficient and all that kind of stuff, but it's it's still really cool to do. Um, so
Yeah, because
what do
like
you guys have back out there normally?
we had a good um, our corn really produced well this year. The green beans, we had those millions of them. The problem is I pick them and eat them at the same time, and then she'll be like, "How much you get?" And I was like, "Oh, I got like 40 of them, but I ate them all." you know. Um, you just try everything like tomatoes. We did watermelon this year. They weren't big, but they were tasty. Um, and trying pumpkins. We just let them go off into the woods and see what they do. Like it's all just an experiment and just trying it and see what works, see what doesn't. That's what I like about it.
Funny thing, you say that about pumpkins. We had a pumpkin outside, and we took the seeds and we planted them just to see what would happen. And holy cow, I couldn't believe that they actually ended up going through. So that's the
Oh,
closest to gardening we've got. But
yeah,
unfortunately, I live in St. Louis, so I don't have the place to do that kind of stuff. But
yeah.
I would like to do that kind of stuff. That's really cool. Um, what's your favorite thing out in the garden?
I was just really big into the corn this year because I built like this whole corn box and everything. Part of my yard's a hill that like
Mhm.
I hate mowing it.
So
I'm gonna break my ankle.
do you have an elevated garden, or you have it in the ground?
It's like coming out of the hill. It's like garden boxes, kind of like a three-sided garden box that come out of the hill.
Oh wow.
Just because it's too steep to mow, and I'm gonna break my
Mhm.
ankle every time. Um, so I was like, I could use this space for something. I was like, let me build garden boxes out of the hill, and then I have 6 more garden boxes over there. I did potatoes this year in the ground, and that was good. I got 2 5-gallon buckets full of potatoes. Um,
Yeah. See, I'd be with you all about corn. I love when the corn comes up and we can start, having corn on the cob. And
mhm.
once that comes out, it's my kids, I know, get tired of it because we'll literally have it 2 3 times a week for a while
Yeah,
at
I
a
was like,
time.
have a corn every day.
Yeah, yep. And yeah, it's always like Christmas in the spring, and it seems like now the corn now comes up earlier here anyway than what it
hmm
used to. I remember you used to have to wait, to almost the 4th of July, the end of June, to get the really good corn. Now we're
Yeah, it was
here.
same here.
Yeah, here now we're, Memorial Day, maybe even a week or so before Memorial Day, you can start getting corn and it's not too bad.
Yeah, yep.
Um, so you talked a little bit about your wife and whatnot. So, tell me about her. How long have you guys been married?
I call her my wife. We're not married yet.
Oh, you're not married yet. Uh-oh. Well, is that a
um,
precursor? Do you have something to announce here? When are you gonna, pop the question?
we we are engaged.
Very
We've been
nice.
together. Um, February is going to be 10 years. We've been together.
10
So and
years.
she's stuck with me for 10 years.
Do you have a wedding date set then yet?
Nope, not yet.
Fair
Just kind
enough.
of going with the flow.
You guys have any kids or anything like that?
Nope, no kids.
No kids yet?
Just all the animals.
Well, those are like children. Trust me.
Yeah,
Going in a different direction, corralling them, frustrates you at times. Don't learn lessons very well. Yeah, that
yep,
qualifies.
yeah,
Um, so we have three, and yeah, sometimes I think actually having a farm would be easier, cleaner too, ironically. So,
yeah. I
um,
don't know. There's chicken poop about everywhere you walk outside.
so you and your dad you also spoke of your dad. So, you race with him on the red light racing. Does he run both nights, or does he run just the one night with you?
He runs both nights. Um,
Okay.
I think
Does he run any other leagues or anything?
Nope, just us Mondays and Thursdays. We did it. I was trying to get him in another league run. Gee, I'm trying to remember. He did run a couple races with us. I think he did. But it wasn't a full-time
Gotcha.
schedule.
Wow, that's
I was just happy to, it's a hobby I can have with,
You
and
have
it makes
any?
me, see run around the track.
Do you have any brothers or sisters you can rope in and race with, or cousins or anything like that? Also,
I do have a sister, but she doesn't race, and nobody else
gotcha.
in the family does. I mean, they're all race fans,
Hmm.
but they don't do iRacing or come to the races with us too much. It'll be like me and my dad, and I'll try to get Becca to come with us. She'll usually nag the whole way.
Well, funny thing is, I'm usually that way up until the point of leaving the house. But once I open the door and you can smell the fuel and you hear the cars, my oh, I don't really want to go, goes right out the window. I'm like, oh yeah,
Hmm.
glad I'm here.
Yeah.
There's something that for me, there always will be anyway. There's something special about coming through the gate and the tracks where you kind of walk out from the bleachers and there's the track. That first time every year. There's just to me, there's nothing greater every year that I get to do anymore. That just it's really cool to be able to do that. Um, so um, with the how much does your fiance, I guess we'll say, help with the gardening? Is all that because I mean you said she brought the chickens home. Does she help with the gardening too, or is that one kind of on your plate?
Yeah, I'd say it's about 50-50.
Nice,
Um,
good team effort.
yeah, yeah, I'll try to because I'll freak out if I'm doing it all. So
All right. Well, here's what I have to say is when you're gonna finally announce a date, way back, I think it was over last summer, we had a driver in the bootleg racing league that announced that he was gonna, marry, and he eventually did, but he did it on air. They did an interview. So, with VGN covering, you should keep that tradition. So whenever you're gonna do it, you should drop Ryan a note so they can pull you in the booth under caution. You can announce it to
oh
everybody.
yeah,
So keep that
I
tradition going, um, all that kind of good stuff. So it's
I
very
did
cool.
message New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Hmm.
Like Marcus Smith, I like found his Twitter and I like messaged him directly. It was like, "Do you do weddings at New Hampshire Motor Speedway?" And he was like, "Yes, we do." And I was like, "Look,
Yep.
we can get married here." And she goes, "No."
Yeah. Yeah. That would be ideal, wouldn't it? Um,
Yeah.
yeah. I joked around my wife. We've been married 20 years, but I joked around about doing that in Indianapolis. I said, that would be
Oh yeah.
beyond awesome to go to Indianapolis and do it. At the time, we lived in Fort Wayne, Indiana, so Indy was 90 minutes south of us.
Hmm.
And I was like, yeah, I'd love to go to Indy and do it. And yeah, I got shot down
Yeah.
pretty quick. I, in all fairness, she didn't even have to think about it. I mean, no, just flew right out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That was ready.
yep, yep, yep. So, well, you know what? I have. It's very cool to talk and get to know you. We are so glad to cover Red Light now and get to know folks like you and bring you guys on the show and stuff like that. So now, we hope that other Red Light. We got some other Red Light guys lined up and stuff like that. So we do hope that
Mhm.
as you start to get to see your folks on there, it. I can tell you from we've done mostly bootleg up until now, and I can tell you, it's really cool. I think the drivers have gotten a lot out of uh, putting more to a face than just a car. We talked about when you say Sterling Marlin, we think of the silver bullet car, but we know
Yeah.
Sterling. We know who he is. Well, everybody in iRacing, we get to know their cars or their car number, and
Yeah.
that this is a cool platform here that where folks can actually get to know. So next time you're on track, someone behind you is going to know who you are, and then as we do more, vice versa. So we feel very fortunate to be covering you guys. You guys have put on a great show and everything else. So um cannot wait to see you get that first win right here on VGN. So no pressure there, but we expect that
Yeah.
first win to come here really quick and do it on our air. So, but I do want to thank you for coming on. We got a couple things here, though, that last things I kind of like to have fun with here. Um, I do a green white checkered at the end of these, and it's just a kind of a rapid fire, just real quick things on here. So, hope you play along. Hope you kind of find this kind of interesting. So,
Yeah.
the first question that either or I have is, if you had to pick one, farming or gardening, which one do you do?
Farming.
Why?
I like the logistics of farming. Like, I would like to have more than just a little garden. I would like to raise, poultry, livestock, everything else. I just don't have the space for it
Hmm.
at home, but I would like to have like a whole farm, produce, meat, everything.
All right. Next one then. Modifieds or late models? Because you're up there in
Modified.
Northeast, you get both modifieds.
Yeah.
Spoken like a true Northeasterner, I guess.
Those are
Um,
the real race cars.
so I take it on both. You'd rather do those in iRacing and in real life. That's the one you'd like to go mostly watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you
Unless you
work
want to add a super modified, but
well, but you got a
it's
buddy
still a
though.
modified.
Don't you have a buddy that runs those ACT late models we talked?
Yep. So they're funny story. My dad used to go and like be on his dad's pit crew,
Hmm.
and so it's kind of like coming full circle. And I do like the late models, but just something about the ground pounded modifieds. It just they're so close to the ground. The tires are so wide. They get so much power, and they could just hammer through those corners and not even slip. It's awesome.
Gotcha. All right, the last one here is: would you rather go watch races or stay home and do iRacing?
I like to go watch them.
Go watch them.
Just being there, right? The
Yep.
smells, feeling you can
Yep.
feel them thunder by you.
Yeah. Well,
As much
the
as
reason
I
why I asked is you said you
feel
like to on flow. Be able to watch it on
them.
flow now. So um, didn't know
But
if
it's
that
just
would
hard to
change.
get out there sometimes. Some people are like, oh, I got a racetrack 5 minutes from my house. You're like,
Yeah.
why? I got to drive like an hour, you know, and then coming back, if it doesn't end until like 11 o'clock, midnight, got to work the next day. I like to be able to lay in bed and then shut it off.
Yeah. See, that's the best thing so far about living in St. Louis that I like. We've got like 10 tracks like within an hour if you're, including like I-55, which is, always brings big races in, which I know it's dirt,
Hmm.
but Tri-City and things like that. So we got Gateway here too. So now the Cup cars and trucks and all that come in here. We went to a truck race out there a while back. So yeah, it's cool when you live really close to a lot. So the,
Yeah.
the the upside to that is cool. The downside is yeah, it means every weekend you agonize over going. So maybe you having something a little
Hmm.
farther, you're only agonizing when there's something going on, probably,
Yeah.
right? When the wheeling
Yeah. Like
tour.
we always go to um, the, the October race at Thompson.
Hmm.
Um, that's one that we make sure to go to every year. The NASCAR race at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And when I like to see where the supers are coming, either Star Speedway or the Lee. They do go to Thompson. I do want to hit Monadnock.
They run those super mods at Thompson.
They do, and they're
Oh,
really fast going down those
well,
long
that
straightaways.
those long, yeah, but I'm also thinking that's not exactly a smooth track either. So those
Mm-mm.
guys are probably hopping. Man, I bet you those guys have their handfuls there.
Oh yeah,
Wow, I didn't realize they went up there. Wow. Okay, that's to me that's nuts.
yep. I've seen them run New Hampshire, which they have tested at New Hampshire, but I don't think ever ran an actual race.
Well, speaking at Thompson, that's where your next race that you guys are going to, correct? There in Red Light.
Yep. Yep. We're heading
So
up Thompson
tell me
Speedway.
well, since we've talked so much about it, what is going to be your strategy this coming week? What are you looking forward to? What do you like about it?
Uh, I got to qualify good and hopefully qualify on the outside lane. The bottom just doesn't do it for you
Yeah.
there, and so hard to pass down the bottom. You can just roll the top so nice. Um, Try that. I mean, I've had good luck there, good finishes. I've also had the worst finishes I've ever had at Thompson. I think looking back, because that's one of the ones we run the most.
Hmm.
But it's just, I don't know, it just fits me. It fits the modifieds. So I just think it's going to be good. I'm hoping. I want to win. I want to win championship this year. Thompson's, I got it circled. That's how I'm going to get there, through Thompson.
Well, yeah, your
Stafford.
average finish being a top 10 consistent. Like I said, you're knocking on the door. Who when you go to Thompson, is there a guy in red light to beat? I mean, is there somebody that is really good there that okay, here, this is my strongest competition when I get there?
So before, like, it was always me and Josh Buckley battling. And I've had some battles at Thompson with Brian, Bianchi, Josh, Eric, and now I got to deal with Jeff Aho. He's new to the league last year. And I was like, oh, I'm going to win the championship. I was like, here comes Jeff cruising through to the champion. Yeah, but we just run, like, our times is so close to each other. It's so competitive. It's very tough.
Well, very well, very good. I cannot wait to see you guys there in the show that you guys put on there. And like I said, I do thank you for spending some time with us here this afternoon and letting us get to know you. And cannot wait to see you on track at Thompson this week.
Yep, it's going to be good. It's going to be a good week.
Well, I do thank you, and also I do thank you guys for all tuning in here this week for VGN Weekly. Again, my name is John Hind, and I hope you've enjoyed our conversation with Rob Higgins. We'll see you next week when we have Tony Ogo. He'll be our guest then. So until then, have a great week.
Coming up on VGN, Red Light Racing Skidder Creek SK Modified Series will be live from Thompson Speedway on Thursday, January 23rd at 7:55 p.m. Eastern. The Bootleg Racing Modifieds and Late Models from Langley Speedway will air on Saturday, January 25th at 7:40 p.m. Eastern. And on Tuesday, January the 28th, VGN Weekly will air at 9 a.m. Eastern. And coming soon to VGN, the OBRL's NASCAR Cup Series will begin its 36 race schedule on February 16th. The inaugural Yesteryear Racing IROC Series will fire up on February 18th. And the VGN debut of Yesteryear Racing's 1966 Tour Modified Series will kick off on February 25th. You can see our full schedule at virtualgrip.net/calendar.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of VGN Weekly. Join us next time for race recaps, interviews, and much, much more. Please like and subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of our broadcasts. If you are a league owner or potential sponsor and have a broadcasting need, please visit virtualgrip.net for info on how to get in touch with us. This has been a production of the Virtual Grip Network and the Skidder Creek Motorsports Group.